On today's episode of So Quaint, I'm going to be showing you how to sew your very own fanny pack from scratch. Fanny packs have several different names. They're also called bum bags and hippie pouches, but whatever you call it, it's going to be such a functional thing to make. You can make this as gifts, you can make it for yourself, you can start a business out of it. In order to sew this, you need the following items: a half yard of medium to heavyweight fabric such as denim, canvas, corduroy, faux leather, or flock. This will be for the exterior of your fanny pack. A half yard of cotton fabric to line your fanny pack, matching thread, a yard of zipper, 2 zipper slides, 2 to 3 yards of bag strap, also known as webbing, 1 slide release or strap hook as some people would call it, fabric scissors and paper scissors, pins to hold your fabric and pattern in place, a tape measure, tailor's chalk or something to draw with, a ruler, and a pattern. As for your sewing machine, be sure to have a universal or denim needle that is no smaller than size 16. I broke at least 4 needles sewing this fanny pack because I was using size 14. This pattern is available in 3 different places: on my Etsy shop, on SewQuaint.com, and on my Patreon, where you also get loads of other perks like exclusive sewing content from yours truly. You can check all of those out in the description box down below. Now it's time for us to actually get into this tutorial. Step 1 is to cut all the pieces for the fanny pack as instructed by the pattern. The pattern will tell you how many pieces of your main fabric and lining fabric you will need to do this project. You can also draft this pattern from scratch with the measurements on the screen. Some pieces will require 2 main fabric pieces, some will require 1 main fabric piece, but the amount of main fabric pieces that it requires is the same amount of lining pieces that you will need. So if you have to cut 2 main fabric pieces, you will also have to cut 2 lining fabric pieces, with the exception of the strap holder piece that requires no lining at all. There are also a few special pieces that will need different kinds of cutting for the lining. For example, the back of the fanny pack requires that you cut an extra 1¼ inches at the bottom of the fabric, and the same goes for the front pocket. This is going to be so that you can fold and stitch away the raw edges of your pocket. Before we actually move on to sewing the bag, you also need to cut a length of zipper that is the same length as your pocket zipper panel and the top and bottom zipper panel. You will need to cut a length of bag strap that is 15 inches long and another length of bag strap that is about 30 inches long. You're now going to take the zipper that you cut for the pocket zipper panel and place that right sides together with the main fabric for the zipper panel, and sew along the edge using your zipper foot. Take the lining fabric for this piece, put it at the back of the zipper, and then stitch again. You want to make sure that you are stitching on the line that you stitched previously. I'm using my Singer 4423 heavy duty sewing machine, and it comes with a zipper foot attachment. If you like this sewing machine, you can use my code SewQuaint10 to get 10% off on Singer.com. The next step is to put the main fabric and lining fabric wrong sides together like this and top stitch beside the zipper teeth. Here you want to use your regular presser foot. Sew the raw edge of the main and lining fabric together to hold them in place. Install the zipper slide and sew the ends of the zipper shut using a zigzag stitch. These are the settings that you want to put your sewing machine on. The longest stitch width will make sure that when you sew, your needle will go from side to side without jamming on the zipper teeth. Stitch length 0 will make sure that your needle will stay in one place. This is important because it's going to prevent the zipper slide from coming all the way off of your fabric, and it closes this area so that it's easier for the next step, which is to put the zipper panel and the main fabric for the pocket base right sides together with the lining fabric at the back. Sew with a 1/2 inch allowance. You want to be very careful with your zipper teeth here. I personally just walk my needle instead of sewing fast over it, because sometimes if you sew fast over it, your needle can break, and we don't want that. Put the main fabric and lining fabric for the base piece wrong sides together like this and top stitch the seam. You can trim away any excess fabric that might be hanging off here. The next step is to fold the main fabric for the pocket in half, horizontally and vertically, and add a notch at the center of the 4 sides. Cut the pocket border to be 19 inches or 48.26 centimeters long. Put the raw edges of the pocket base right sides together over the other end of the zipper panel and sew with a 1/2 inch or 1.27 centimeter allowance. This is the border for the front pocket of your fanny pack. The next step is to divide the pocket border into 4 equal parts. You do this by first matching the seams that are on the pocket border, cutting a notch at the top and bottom on both sides, then matching those notches and cutting notches at the sides again. Top stitch this seam like you did the other one, and then sew the lining and main fabric together on both sides like this. The next thing that you want to do is to match the 4 points on the pocket border to the 4 points on the main fabric for the pocket using pins. This will ensure that your pocket border is evenly distributed around your pocket. Check to make sure that your pocket fits well. Cut clips into the corners of the fabric so that it folds better around the edges, and make adjustments where necessary. If you notice that your pocket border is too big for your pocket, then you might want to stitch off a couple of extra inches. The next step is to sew the pocket border to the pocket, making sure to go around all of those corners gently, walking your needle wherever you feel like it might be a pressure point to avoid having your needle break in the middle of this sewing project. The next step is to add lining to the back of this pocket. So you're going to do that by lining up the edges of your pocket with the lining fabric. You're going to sew around this part and make sure that your stitches fall on top of the stitches that you had there before. That's the reason why I'm sewing on this side of the fabric, but if you ever find that you have to flip it over, that's completely okay once you keep the allowance in mind. Trim away the corners, sides, and top of your pocket to reduce the bulkiness that this extra fabric might create. Now you want to turn the pocket inside out, and it's really starting to look professional here. This is a fully lined pocket, and the next thing that you want to do is to fold the excess fabric twice and stitch it down like this. Turn your pocket over to the right side. Take the bottom zipper panel, fold it in half vertically and horizontally, and put a notch at the top, bottom, and sides. This will allow you to be able to identify the center points. Draw a vertical and horizontal line down the center points of this fabric piece, and they should form a cross just like this. Measure the height and width of your pocket and make note of those measurements. Now you're going to take the measurements that you got for your fanny pack and you're going to evenly distribute them above and below the lines. So that means if you got a measurement of 3.5 inches for your fanny pack, you're going to put 1 3/4 at the top and 1 3/4 at the bottom. And if you got a width of 5 inches, you're going to put 2.5 inches on the left and 2.5 inches on the right. Using chalk and a ruler, draw a rectangle around the lines. Pin the pocket to the rectangle, matching the 4 notches to the 4 sides. Sew the pocket to the fanny pack using your regular presser foot. If your fanny pack is looking like this, give this video a thumbs up and comment down below if you have any questions. Now it's time to sew the body of the fanny pack. And this, I feel like, is where it gets easier because the front pocket was probably the most complicated part. Now you want to place the zipper that you cut for this piece right sides together with the zipper panel and sew with a 1/2 inch / 1.27 centimeters allowance. Use your zipper foot here. Put the lining fabric behind it and sew it in the same way. Put the main and lining fabric wrong sides together and top stitch beside the zipper. Repeat the same steps with the top zipper panel. So this pretty much completes the body of the zipper panel. But in order to make it even neater, we're going to stitch the top, bottom, and sides in order to keep it together. Now let's move on to sewing the strap holders. For this, you're going to need the 4 strap holder pieces as well as the 2 lengths of bag strap that you cut. Burn the ends of each of the bag straps with a lighter to prevent them from fraying in the future. Take the strap holder and with the pieces being right sides together, start sewing from the long edge with a 1/4 inch or 0.635 centimeter allowance towards the short edge. Before you get to the end, pivot your fabric with the needle still in it, place your strap beside the stitch and sew down the short end of the strap holder. Before you get to the end, pivot again and sew down the slanted edge. Remember to backstitch at the beginning and the end of this. You want to make sure that you have at least a 1/4 inch allowance. The next step is to turn the 2 strap holders inside out. Top stitch one of the strap holders from the long edge to the short edge and sew in the opposite direction for the other strap. Or if that sounds too complicated to you, simply just top stitch along this part of your strap holder. Cut away the excess fabric in the corners. Put the strap holders right sides together on the fanny pack, 1 inch away from the top, and sew them down. Now we're going to sew the top and bottom of the fanny pack. Take the main fabric for the top and bottom that's shaped like a semicircle and fold it in half. Add a notch to this part. This will help you to identify the center point. Fold the body of the fanny pack in half vertically and horizontally to identify the center points of the top, bottom, and sides. Now you want to match these notches. Start sewing from the center of the fanny pack out to one end, and then flip your fanny pack over and stitch from the center again to the other end. This will ensure that your fanny pack will have an even distribution of the semicircle at the top right there. It also helps to add clips into your fabric. Not long clips, just very tiny ones like what we did earlier when we were installing. The next thing you want to do is to add your lining fabric to the back of this. You'll just sew from one end to the next. Now you want to cut away the excess fabric here. So if you can see any lining peeking through, go ahead and trim that away. And once that is done, you can top stitch this area to keep it in place. Fold here and put a notch both at the top and the bottom, as well as the sides. This is going to help you to identify the center points for the next section. Another thing you want to do is to add a zipper slide to this part of your fanny pack. If you are left-handed, you can install the zipper from the other side, and the same thing goes for the front pocket. If you're left-handed, instead of putting it on the side that I put it, you would put it on the opposite side. You want to seal this area shut using a zigzag stitch, just like we did earlier in the video, and this is going to prevent your zipper slide from sliding off of the fabric. Before moving on to the next section, it's important that you put the straps through the zipper and to the lining part of the bag. Now it's time to put it all together with the back of the fanny pack. Take the main fabric for the back piece of the fanny pack, fold it vertically and horizontally, putting notches at the top, bottom, and sides. You want to go ahead and match these 4 notches with the 4 notches on the body of the fanny pack that we created previously. Pin them in place and stitch all the way around this piece. You want to make sure that you are pivoting at the corners of your fanny pack, and you pivot with your needle still in your fabric. You want to do this when you are about 1/2 inch away from the corner to get the best possible results. The next thing you want to do is to add lining fabric to the back, similar to how we added lining fabric to the front pocket of this fanny pack. If this feels complicated to you or you think you can't really wrap your head around how to do it, I promise all it takes is some practice. Don't be intimidated, try it and you will see that it's actually very much possible. If you have a hard time, then I would recommend practicing over and over and over and over again, because when I just started doing this, it was hard to me and now it's like a piece of cake. So don't get discouraged if this feels tricky to you. But once you have done this, you then want to turn your fanny pack inside out. Fold this area twice by 1/2 inch / 1.27 centimeters and top stitch. This is another one of the points where my needle broke, so be careful when you get to these really bulky parts. Now you can turn your fanny pack inside out and we are 95% complete. The final step is to add the strap hooks. As you can see, a slide release has a top side and a bottom side. The bottom side has all of these writings and circles on them, and then the top side usually has none of those things. So you're going to take the short strap, and from the back of the strap hook, you're going to insert that strap, fold it towards the back by about 1/2 inch / 1.27 centimeters. Stitch along this area to secure it, or you could just put a pin in it and then stitch it afterwards like I'm about to do. For the next side, we're going to be inserting the longer side of the strap. And the reason why the longer side of the strap goes here is because this is the adjustable side. You're going to insert the right side of your long strap in through the first slot and then down through the second slot. This is going to make it so that you can properly adjust your fanny pack to make the strap longer or shorter to your liking. Once you've done that, you want to take the end of your strap and fold it over by 1/2 inch or 1.27 centimeters twice and top stitch this area. The fold should be to the wrong side of the strap. If you have any questions or any of this was confusing, leave your questions down below. But if you want a better chance at having a conversation with me, you can join my Patreon community where you get lots of different perks and benefits and exclusive sewing content. This fanny pack will come in so handy for many different occasions. I can see this easily being worn to a farmer's market, on a run, on a hike, just going out at night or even at day with your friends. This can be a cute bag that you make for family members and friends. You can make this for yourself. You can start a business out of it. Of course, once you have the quality and the right materials down pat. If you like this tutorial, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to So Quaint, and watch this video or this playlist next. See you there!